couple of thoughts here. The South Carolina week, I've been excited for the game, but first and foremost, I want to send heartfelt thanks and thoughts, out to those coaches and the people of South Carolina. I know it's been really hard, just in terms of the flooding and what's happened. I just want to make sure that our thoughts and prayers are with you here in Nashville. We've thought about you, continue to pray for you and think about you, and we'll continue to make sure that anything that we can do, we will do. I want to talk on the old ball coach, or the head ball coach. Man, that guy, man, Coach Spurrier, man, I got a brief statement about Coach Spurrier. I believe Coach Spurrier is a legend, both on and off the field. When I look at, what he's done, and he's been a part of the fabric and culture of the SEC for a long time. He's done a lot of great things for this conference, both as a player and as a coach. As a player, he won a Heisman, and as a coach, he's won national championships. But I think the bigger picture with Coach Spurrier, he's always been who he is. He's a great man of integrity. He's done a great job of educating young men. He's been a champion of what they need, and he's done a great job mentoring coaches and making sure that he was always above board. His personality is infectious. He is a true man of integrity, and as I look at what he's been over the years, nobody else can be the head ball coach. He is as special to college football as they come. So we'll miss him, and those are my thoughts on Coach Spurrier.
A little sad that you don't get a chance to coach against him this Saturday?
You know what? Yes. I've had a chance to get to know him over the last 18 months, and he's jabbed me a couple of times, just in terms of being here at Vanderbilt and being a smart guy. But he's fun to be around. He's infectious. He's always courteous, but by the same token, he's always competitive, and I've always admired that about him. Who he is, what he is, how he coaches, and how he's been able to coach and transcend the years, college football, because it's not easy.
What kind of effect do you think that's going to have on his team to lose a head coach in the middle of a week like this?
I don't know. Personally, for me, I've tried to stick to where we are. I've got a football team that's 2-3, that's trying to get to 3-3. And my focus has been on our football team and what we're trying to do here at Vanderbilt. We've come off a bye week. We've had a chance to heal up a little bit. Continuing to move forward, though, has been our task. And so with that, I know they've had some things on their plate, but we've got things on ours too. We've got things that we want to accomplish here at Vanderbilt University, and that's where my focus has been.
When you find that out, what questions did you guys ask as a staff last night of, okay, who's going to call plays? What's the difference in their makeup? What discussions were you guys having as soon as you find out?
It's the same discussions we had last week. Who's going to be the quarterback? You don't know. There's a lot of unknowns. I think what you do is you look at the film. I don't think the play calling is going to be much different. I think they're going to be who they are, and they've got one of the top offensive weapons in this conference in Farrell Cooper. He showed what he can do versus us last year on a 73-yard run. So for us, the dynamics of that game don't change a whole lot. We understand who the quarterbacks could be. We understand that Farrell Cooper is going to be there. Wild is coming back, so we understand their full complement of offensive weapons. And so for us, we got to line up with a game plan and let's get ready to go. And our focus has been on just that.
Derek, there will obviously be a lot of emotion in that stadium on multiple levels for South Carolina. Do you address that with your team, or because that's something they're going to have to I would assume deal with.
We talk about the ebb and flow of what happens during the game, but you have some other periphery and some other circumstances that are around it, and we've addressed that and we've talked about it, but for us, the only thing that we can do is continue to prepare. We know we're going to go into a hostile environment. It's a great place to play. It's a great stadium, and with that, we just have to be ready to weather the storm. We're going to be fine. Our guys are going to prepare the way that they've always prepared. This group is so young that they don't really know the difference between, when what's happening over there and what's happening, here on our practice field in terms of when we have music on and we're playing other teams' fight songs. So, for us, it's just about focusing on the things that we can control, how we prepare, how we practice, is how we want to play.
Did you spend extra time last week working ahead on South Carolina, or did you just save all the South Carolina stuff for this week?
A little bit of both. We had 2 practices that were dedicated to some first and second down South Carolina information, but then what we did was just really focus on us and the fundamentals. So we spent Monday and Tuesday really cleaning up what we needed to do. We pushed some stuff to South Carolina, but we also needed to see this last game to make sure or get a better idea who the quarterback would be and what the personnel would be coming out of that game and heading into the next game. So right now we're right on track. It's a normal game week for us, and we treat it as such.
You talked about healing up over the bye week. Can you give us maybe some specifics where guys are getting better?
You asked me about who you want to know about.
Well, Nigel Bowden. I don't see him on the depth chart. First of all, have you guys looked into the possibility of redshirting him?
Man, haven't talked about that possibility yet. And what we're doing is just letting that situation and his medical condition sort of itself out. For us, when we talk about red shirts when guys come back. Right now, Nigel's not back, so our first concern is about Nigel just getting better. He's going through the protocols, and those protocols are being followed closely. So with that, when we get Nigel back, we'll welcome him. But I've had conversations with Nigel every week, so we feel good about what's happening right now in his health care.
What are South Carolina's different quarterback options, and how the challenge is different with those guys?
Well, Ortha's been playing, and when you look at what he is, he's got a good arm, and he's getting better. Every time he plays, he's getting command of the offense, better command of the offense, and right now you'd have to say that there's a strong possibility that he can play. Nunez right now, we don't know if he's healthy. We don't know what the full status is, and we won't know. He's probably back in practice right now, and if he is, then we'll have a Nunez plan. And then they've talked about the starter, and they started the season, and I don't know if he'll be back, but they say he's practicing. So we'll see. I think for us, we still know Farrell Cooper's there. We still know Wiles is there. We still know their tight ends there. So they still got a full arsenal of guys. And I watched the LSU game last week, and I thought at times their defense looked real good. So we're just going to have to line up. Whoever shows up and lines up across from us is who we play.
Back to a couple more guys back. Justin School, Andrew Williamson. You feel like they're pretty well healed coming into this week?
Yeah, they're back. And we'll see, how they function in our lineup. But any guy that's on our list, is functional and back, and those things are always game time decisions as to whether or not a guy will play.
Would you say that then quarterback and how that goes is more of a question mark for you guys than the play caller, so to speak, and all the coaching changes there?
I would. The plays have been the plays. When you look at their offense overall, when Nunez was there, obviously, he was the leading rusher. Farrell Cooper has been Farrell Cooper. He's been able to make plays versus everybody, he stepped on the field against. He's one of the most fierce competitors that you'll see in this conference. So for us, we respect South Carolina, who they are, what they do, how they play the game, and that's what you're supposed to do. Respect the opponent, but we also want to, prepare to win.
You talked about Johnny's growth curve or learning curve throughout this year.
Right.
To make mistakes early in a game like he did at middle and overcome them within the same game, do you view that as a step forward for him?
It's a step forward for Johnny, for this football team. You have to get to a point though where you're not making the same mistakes, and that's what the expectation is. This football team needs Johnny McCrary, and to be its quarterback. He is our leader. He's done a great job. I've never veered from that, this year, and I believe Johnny's continuing to get better. Every time I watch him, in practice, he's commanding it. He's doing the things that he's supposed to do. We just got to, alleviate the small mistakes and the mental errors that can cost you ball games. Games in this conference generally are decided by a possession or two. And so when you give away possessions and when you give away opportunities, you put yourself behind the 8 ball. And we have to be better than that. We have to be opportunistic and seize every possession like that possession is going to change the game. If we do that, we'll be fine.
Derek, you mentioned working on cleaning some things up. The last 2 weeks, where have you been maybe satisfied with the progress, and are there areas that you still, after a couple of weeks, you'd like to see improve?
I'm never satisfied, so that's just me. I'm always looking for the thing that we can do better. But I've also been able to encourage our guys and give our guys compliments and encouragement when we need it and where they need it. But football's an ever evolving game. You can't get comfortable with where you're at. It's always about where you're trying to push towards. And so, for us, special teams, I think we've had a small special teams lapse in almost every game, and those things have to be alleviated. I think we have to do a better job. This last game, we had a couple too many penalties, in my opinion, and I thought we've been great in that area. And turnovers are something on both sides of the ball that we continue to have to talk about. But I see the trend upward just in terms of red zone defense. I see the trend upward in terms of third down offense, and so we just have to continue to stay in that pocket, and we'll be better.
The penalties against Middle were a little bit uncharacteristic for you guys because you haven't drawn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There were some personal foul penalties. Were they just concentration lapses at the wrong time? What do you attribute those to? Emotions
of the game. That's what happens. You're still coaching 18 to 21-year-olds, and when you're coaching 18 to 21-year-olds, sometimes your emotions can get the best of you. I'm sure if you guys see me, my emotions get the best of me. But at the end of the day, I'm still responsible for making sure that this program is headed in the right direction and that we play the game the right way. And I thought at times it got the best of us. We have to continue to be better. We talked about it. Those guys understand what my expectation is, and we'll be better.
Your defense has been its best in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Your offense has been at its worst in the red zone. Is there anything one side can teach the other or learn from the other of how to perform better in that space?
Yes, I think it all comes back to competition and practice, and we've had to push the envelope there a little bit in both areas. Our offense has done a great job of stressing us down the field and making us look at our run defense a little bit so we can tighten that thing up, because I still think for us we need to be better in run defense. Out of conference, we've been great in conference. We've given up over close to 200 yards per game, and that's not something that you take lightly, because the teams in this conference, they can all run the football. So we're pushing each other in those areas. I see it. I see the holes. All we're trying to do is make sure that we can plug up those holes and continue to make this ship float. So right now, that's exactly what we've been able to do.
There are 2 great games in a row from Zach Cunningham. Can you just speak to him and his progress?
Zach's a talented player who's shown that he can be a really good player in this conference. He showed that a year ago. What happens is sometimes young guys still need to grow up, and Zach a year ago, showed those flashes, and it was inconsistent. But now what you're starting to see is him coming to his own. He works hard, super hard in practice. What you see in games are just a full, this guy just coming into his own because he practices that way. I'm starting to see more young guys practice the way they need to practice, and that's what you want to see, because practice leads to great games. And right now, I think he's poised to have a good season. We just got to stay healthy, and he's just got to keep doing his job.
And going back to the atmosphere, Derek, in your career, have you ever been a part of anything like a coach stepping down in the middle of the season or going against the team immediately after that?
Yeah, I did. Actually, at USC when Coach Kiffin was let go at USC, and Ed Ogeron took over, and they did a great job. We took our Stanford team down to USC and lost a tight ball game by I think 3 points. And the emotions of that game were high, and so you have to fight through those emotional highs and just make sure that your guys level out. And that's why we try to do some things in practice to help us start fast this week. And we've had a little more competition at the beginning of practice, and we put something on it. This morning I wound up getting a nice workout, doing some push-ups, on it. So, I believe anything that you can do to try to promote, the mojo of what it's going to be like to have to push through a wall and having to try to seize the opportunity, man, to play well early is what we need to do. We haven't shown that this year consistently, and we need to do it on both sides of the ball, including special teams. So, that's where we're at.
Derek, you got Stephen Choi back a couple weeks ago. He's a big part of Ole Miss. Last week, 1 catch for 3 yards. Was it him not getting open, something in the schemes? What was kind of the difference between the week before and that game?
I think the opportunity's coming to come. It's not uncommon for a guy to have a ton of catches one week and 1 catch the next week. I talk to those guys, man. If you want catches, get open. Quarterbacks, been taught to make the read and give you the ball, but you got to get open to do that. And man, right now, Steven's focused. He's hungry. There's a great opportunity this weekend to go to South Carolina and play a great game. So look for him to stand out.
One more question. Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Derek.
We will